Man, if I were Meshuggah, I think I'd rather play that version. That's so great. We have Jan Zehrfeld with us. He is the brains and the insanity behind Panzerballett. We've had him on the channel several times. Jan is a wonderful, wonderful creative person who's done some of the most exciting music I've come across. Jan, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Anthony, for having me.
Yeah, so
always a pleasure.
It seems like it's a little easier to pick this version, maybe not timing wise, but a lot less going on for the right hand.
Yes, exactly. That's why I chose to do this. The right hand is not that demanded. I mean, the brain is the focus goes more onto the brain than onto the hand.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know how you came up with notes for, obviously there's but the melody, like how do you turn a screaming vocal part into a melody that fits on the saxophone, and how do you solo over the I couldn't believe everything I heard, when I first heard that.
It's just in the best jazz tradition, or just the other way around. Maybe there used to be a melody and you would put chords beneath the melody, but in this case you have an intricate rhythm part and you have to find a melody that has not existed before, but the rhythm part is something referring to an original, but there is no melody in Meshuggah as such. It's just screaming, and and I don't even remember how I came up with melody, but well, I like the chord changes that I found, because um it's like really like a jazz fusion piece, demanding changes to solo on, um like for instance, we did in stuff like White Christmas, or um Es kommt bald, on the Christmas album. There are some of the tunes have more complex chord changes, and I'm happy to have more complex chord changes again. It's a big challenge, um, and it's also a little bit. My reference was also like, I always was hearing Latin inside of this chorus part. There is this da da go 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 go. So these are kind of syncopations, are like reminded me a little bit like, you know, Michel Camilo stuff, or like the really exact meticulous Latin parts and syncopated stuff, and it makes me like, this part in Bleed makes me want to dance like to Latin music a little bit, and I wanted to show that to by kind of adding a fusion chord progression that's kind of more reminding it more of Latin for myself. It's kind of a little bit more danceable. I feel like dancing when doing this, when performing this, or when listening to this. I feel like dancing. Actually.
I think you're the first person to say I feel like dancing when you listen to Meshuggah, but so tell us, you've got a new album. Do you have a physical copy of it with you?
Actually, no, because the last one has been sold yesterday that I have in stock, and the next one is coming actually on Tuesday. But I could well, no, it's embarrassing, but I actually maybe one.
I'm embarrassed that I don't have a copy. I need to order one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'm afraid no. It's really, the last one has been sold.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. So
Like the first 100, we sold the first 100.
great.
Yeah.
All right. So tell
Yeah.
us about the album. What's it called? What can people expect when they hear it?
Yeah. So album is called Übercode Œuvre, and yeah, people can expect, if they didn't like the Panzerballett releases before that, they will probably not like this one either. But if they liked it, they will maybe like it even more, because it passed quite a lot of time between the last one and this one. Actually, never between two albums there was so much time that passed, like 5 years. And so in these 5 years, of course, I had more time to think about stuff and to come up with stuff, and so I have the feeling there's more effort and more ideas than in the past albums. But I cannot say, because the Christmas album has ideas from over 13 years condensed in an album, but still it feels like it's an assembly of assembled different monoliths, like, or flagship tracks from different artists that I adore or have been a fan of. And if, like, Meshuggah is one of my all-time favorite bands, I would never, if there was not my girlfriend who pointed me at this, why don't you do a Meshuggah cover? If then I wouldn't have dared to put my hands on this. But yeah, Meshuggah is like the holy grail. I didn't want to touch it. This time I I thought I'll give it a shot. And the same with Alien Hip Hop, for instance, by Virgil Donati. With how awesome is that? Virgil Donati himself is playing on his on a rendition that I made together with him. So it's we worked on that fifth version together, and and then there are other tracks like from classical music with Ode to Joy in two versions, and with the Four Seasons Vivaldi, which is well, a very virtuoso piece, and obviously that is something I like to grab and make it my own. And so there are epic. I think the tracks I chose are epic, and also there is a surprise, like Andromeda is a love song, actually. My first and probably last love song, I don't know. But and there are even two versions of it, and the second version is only on the digital album, and that's not the love song, because that's Aaron Tier's idea. He made a drum virtuoso piece out of it. So but I like it as well, and I heard the reactions. People like it a lot too. So it was a good choice to include both versions of that ballad. I call it the Panzerballett, and yeah, and then there is like the Ligeti that was the first of all the pieces that I did during COVID. Do you remember the Steve Vai thing? And yeah, I wrote that for the next album, so I included that too. And of course, this is a special thing too, because it never took me ever so long to practice something. This is something special too. So lots of special things. Meshuggah, Alien Hip Hop with Virgil Donati, the love song, the Ligeti, and then the classical stuff, extreme stuff, and then also the 7 Steps to Hell with Morgan Agrin. This is kind of a follow-up on the Primetime from the last album, which was written by Nelida Behar, amazing composer, a friend of mine, who I asked to write another piece in 7, please. Yeah, and
well, let's take a listen to the Four Seasons with Marco Miniman.
Oh yeah, that's a great book.
Powerful piece. All right, here we go. while we're on the classical thing, let's check out some of Ode to Joy as well.
Freude schöner Götter, Funken, Tochter aus Elysium. Wir betreten feuertrunken himmlische dein Heiligtum. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was ihm ohne Schein geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, oh dein sanfter Flügel. Freude schöner Götter, Funken, Tochter aus Elysium. Wir betreten feuertrunken himmlische dein Heiligtum. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was ihm ohne Schein geteilt. Alle Menschen werden Brüder, oh dein sanfter Flügel weint. Die Freude ohne Träume trinken alle Wesen an den Brüsten der Natur. Alle Guten, alle Wesen folgen ihrer Rosenspur an den Brüsten der Natur. Folgen ihrer Rosenspur.
Just as Beethoven intended.
Yeah, right. It's like the first one you played, the Four Seasons, is it's reminded me of you listening to your three-legged dog piece and then saying, well, makes you want to break a chair, and this is the same thing I think sometimes about pieces that I when I listen to them. I haven't listened to that in a while now, and this makes me break a chair too, because it's like so intense. And if in this kind of music, which is so meticulous, and it's so, there are so many details, and if you the connection to the music gets way stronger if you dive into it. There's so much more to explore, and if you explore it, it's just so much more intense. Just witnessing and living in that music. It's so this is there is no way back to to regular stuff if you once you get that close to that kind of intense stuff. It's so much more enjoyable for me, at least. Yeah, because it's really intense. And yeah, the ode to joy is also people tend to say, people who have not listened to such kind of stuff before, they say, well, it sounds totally wrong, like the second voice sounds totally wrong. And to me it makes perfect sense, because I've listened so much to it. And it's where other people hear dissonance, I hear consonance, and the other way around, where what other people, like normal listeners, consider as consonant, or I think is highly dissonant. Because, or it's dissonant because I don't understand why could they dig something over and over, the same stuff for 20 years, the same boring stuff, like well,
I tell my wife all the time, like, she loves Simon and Garfunkel, and I'm like, I think there's a time limit or a play limit. Like, I could never hear Simon and Garfunkel again, and I would be fine. Or Queen, I've heard, their greatest hits. It's like, okay, great, it's good music, fine, but like, do we need to hear Bridge Over Troubled Water again, or Cecilia, or can we do something interesting with it? You know, Ode to Joy. I love just how there's so much depth and richness in Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, but then you can put your own twist on it, and to me, it's so much more enjoyable. And you're taking something familiar and flipping it on its head, and then it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know you could think about it that way. You know, it's liberating.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah. So tell us, where can people buy the album, and you know, tell us how people have responded to it.
Well, they should buy it definitely through the Panzerballett website. They should buy a CD or a vinyl, will be released very soon, because that's what um, helps us most. But of course, I decided to make it available on streaming too. I was never very convinced, should I even do this or not, because I don't think that streaming is, I think that streaming is the biggest rip off of musicians in the history. So it's really, it's a disaster. So but I decided still to, at least to, because so much changed in the music industry in the past, especially in the past few years, and I had to in the last few months, I highly I tried to get back on track on what is important nowadays. I wasn't even aware. I took some coaching lessons. I took some lessons to learn something about how things work. I didn't know stuff works, how it changed, how it's for instance, stuff like you don't actually, like a music video is something, it's actually obsolete almost, you need it's very expensive, you need to invest more, it's better to invest more in small bits of content and so on. I wasn't even aware of that. I thought, well, I will make three music videos now with because I think this is just like, okay, this is great content, but it's still I could have invested the same money in like over a year of content, and which would fit more into the time nowadays. So that's what I learned, and that's why I also got into the streaming. I wanted to. I wanted to still get to know things about it, and wanted to relate to it by having my own music there too, so I could check on it and see how things work. Not because I'm convinced of it, but just because I want to know how things run. Yeah.
So how have you gotten reviews? Have you gotten feedback on the album?
Oh yeah. Yes, very tremendous feedback so far. Very good reviews from various metal magazines. Basically, the promoter we had is more focused on metal, but the album is also, it has a strong emphasis on metal, I would say. But of course, it's an experimental thing, and it's a blend of styles. But it probably, it doesn't have the same amount of jazz in it as it used to be in the like 10 years ago, or 15, with starke Stücke, and there were more jazzy parts, and now it's like more metal in it, and it's of course refined and more meticulous and more mature, maybe, I don't know. What was the question? I forgot.
It doesn't matter. It was why do you look so beautiful today, Jan? That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll add.
Or-
I think it's an incredible album. I just you don't put out anything bad. You know, everything you do is just utmost quality, extraordinarily just virtuosic. I I said something in my promo video for you that I'm surprised they didn't get more pushback on, but I really think like you have higher requirements for band members than Frank Zappa. Like to get into Panzerballett is like it's it's hard. I think it would be the hardest band to get into. Anybody whose name is on a Panzerballett album is a top notch musician, and what it requires to play any of these songs, it's so hard to find people who not only can do it, but then will invest the time and energy to be able to play. You know, the drummers on these albums are unbelievable. And I'll just shout out to Morgan Ogren, who I feel like he's the standout on this, not because the way he sounds, although he is completely unique, but I know how he works, and he doesn't do sheet music, and he doesn't ask for a chart. He just and he just like plays, and it's like it's there. He doesn't spend days, you know, figuring it out. It's just I'll listen to it 3 times and then I'll track bits at a time. He is just on another planet. And so I think Panzerballet's music is like you've got to be on another planet to be good enough to be on these albums, and you kind of have to be on another planet or at least okay with other planets to listen to it and enjoy it.
Yes, yes. And with Morgan, the beauty about Morgan is that he doesn't like need to have written out stuff.
Yeah.
He just feels the music and comes up with stuff that's right there where it should be. That's why I didn't even. That's why I actually chose to Morgan to why I picked Morgan for this track, because I didn't have a drum part for it, and I thought I would love to let a drummer play on it who figures out his own stuff. So and Morgan was the right pick for it, because there are there are so many details, but he all supports all the details, and it's amazing. Yeah.
With him, I feel like he never plays what you expect, and it's almost like opening a gift. Like, wow, what am I going to be surprised with? You know, like he's recorded on some tracks with me. I'm sure you've experienced this. You just start listening, and it's like, wow, that is. I never could have come up with that. You know, it could only come from Morgan. But yeah, incredible album, great work. I think you chose the title to be as difficult for English-speaking people as possible.
The title,
Yeah.
yeah, it has all these special letters in it, and it's just I wanted to make it a pain in the ass for the guys who look for the right, like in the Windows thing, you have to, or at least,
Right.
how do you say it? We say Zeichentabelle. You have to look where the code is of
Yep.
this letter. You know, like
Mhm.
and you have the German, you have the French in it, and it's and there's an English word too. So it's a mix. The word is a mix, like the music is a mix too. So and it still makes sense. So
Well, thanks for making it hard to find. I'm sure that will serve you. All right, let's why don't you pick up the pieces, a pretty popular jazz song that people will probably know. You know, tell us about the arrangement, then we'll listen and head out.
Okay, so this is one of my first funky tunes that I ever learned back when I picked up the guitar and started with jazz. This was the first funky tune I learned to play, and well, it's a classic. And I thought, why not choose a funky tune for another episode of quintuplet awesomeness? You know, like the funky tunes are the best victims for the quintuplet rendition, because because they have this interlocked 16th note stuff, which you can fuck up by just adding a little fifth quintuplet, like a tiny asshole, the fifth one, and and then I decided to add two more tiny assholes for the seven, I wanted because seven is a groove. The seven tuplet groove is something that I experimented with already, like in the past, but not that much yet. And I wanted to have more sevens, like 7 Steps to Hell, the septuplet thing, and now 7 in addition to the 5 in Pick Up the Pieces. And I just wanted, because there are not so many examples for quintuplets. You have shitloads of great musicians playing in quintuplets stuff, but not so much in septuplets. So I wanted to create something for myself to research a little bit, and how could I do something to it, to a regularly funky tune, and sell it as if it was normal, just normal. It's in 7, but I wanted to invent something danceable, listenable too, but still it's in the 7 grid. So and then of course the challenge of switching back and forth between the 5 and 7. Yeah, that's another thing.
So for anyone who's unfamiliar with the term, Jan and I did a whole video on quintuplets and septuplets years ago. Maybe it was even a series or something, but if you're unfamiliar, because the channel has grown a lot since we made those videos, quintuplets are 5 divisions of a beat. So instead of 1 E and a, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a beat. And then septuplets is 7 divisions of a beat. And so Jan has arranged entire songs in quintuplets and septuplets. So it has a really strange feel. So let's check it out. Jan, thank you so much. Good luck with the new album, and congratulations. It's awesome. I love it.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yes, of course. Let's do Pick Up the Pieces. All right.